Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of premium quality guitar, bag, and camera straps, handmade in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Check out their website to order your own custom creation and play in style. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's Shitpost Friday.
Hey, what's up, Phillies and fellers? Brad the Guitologist here, and it's time for Shitpost Friday. First up on Shitpost Friday, got some really sad news. Just learned this past week of the passing of drummer for Pantera, Damage Plan, and others, Vinnie Paul. Vinnie Paul, of course, was the brother of Dimebag Darrell, who was shot back in, 2003, something like that. I was really sad when his brother was shot. Big influence on me growing up. I had pretty much all the Pantera stuff. Well, not all of it, because I didn't even realize at the time they had all those 1980s albums until much later when YouTube came around and people started uploading these unknown Pantera albums that was surprised the hell out of me even existed. I'd always thought that Cowboys from Hell was their debut when I was growing up. I had no idea, but yeah, you know, I first learned of Pantera when I was gosh, I must have been, well, whatever year it was, 1990, so I was maybe 12, 13, something like that. My cousin, I remember he took me over to Princeton, Kentucky. We went over to go to Walmart or something and go to the music stores and check things out, and he was riding around in his Camaro or whatever at the time, and he was like, hey man, check this out. He puts on this tape, and that opening, jigga 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 jigga. And then when that kicks in, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell is this? One of those unforgettable moments. The first time you hear Pantera, I mean, how are you going to forget something like that? And Cowboys from Hell at that, you know, kind of a musically life-changing experience, really. You know, it's really sad. He seemed like such a nice guy, man. In all the interviews I ever saw of him, he always had a smile. He was always real jovial, man, and just seemed like the type of guy you would just sit down, drink a beer with, maybe burn a joint with if that was your thing, and just shoot the shit, man, until 2 or 3 in the morning and never get bored, you know. But he was just a killer drummer, man. He had that awesome groove that just made Pantera what it was. Without him holding down that groove, man, you know, it wouldn't have been the same. Pantera just wouldn't have worked. So rest in peace, Vinnie Paul. You know, I know you're up there right now probably jamming with Dime and Jesus and God and all the saints are listening in, man. On the lighter side of news, it's time for Summer NAMM, which means your YouTube inbox is just going to be filled with suggestions of all these videos of people running around at NAMM, which is pretty much like a glorified Guitar Center on steroids. I've never had any interest in wanting to go to a NAMM, to be honest. I mean, I've watched a few videos from NAMM, you know, just to see what kind of things would be coming out, and, you know, I have nothing against such videos. As a matter of fact, you know, like I said, I enjoy a few of them, but after a while, you know, when you've seen about 10 of them, it begins to get old. And I think it shows as well, because the last couple of NAMMs, it seems like all of the YouTubers and their videos haven't been getting as many hits. I don't know, with outside of a select few, you know, who try to do some different things and already have a huge audience. You know, obviously those are still going to get a good viewership, but man, it seems like, you know, the guys who used to do well at NAMM no longer can get anybody to watch those videos anyway. So I don't know. I just don't even see the point of going if it's me. But one of the big stories of this year's NAMM is the return of Gibson. Apparently, you know, I guess it's close enough to home, them being located in Nashville, that they can turn up and just kind of stumble in drunk if they want to and still make a showing of it. But they've shown up with a new product line. Apparently, I say new product line. They've been working 8 months on this product line that they claim is a simplified product line. So how you work 8 months simplifying things, I'm not really sure, but apparently they've done it. I mean, they could just turn back the clock to what they were doing in probably the late 90s and be okay, you know. Just copy what you did back then and you might be all right. They're returning with a simplified line, and ukuleles, I guess they think ukuleles is going to be a big piece of their future. I don't know, man. I think it's possible the boat's already sailed on that one, but I'm not sure, you know. I mean, there's still a lot of people who play ukuleles, and a lot of ukulele songs tend to turn up in movies and things like that when you have, you know, you have the kind of sad, pensive, or wistful moment in a film. You know, there's always kind of a little ukulele tune or something, you know, somebody strumming. I don't know if have there been any real Van Halens of the ukulele lately. That are going to cause an explosion of ukulele sales. I really don't know, but they apparently think that that's part of their puzzle for their future, and apparently also they think Henry Juszkiewicz is still part of their future because he's still at the helm and still making press release statements and still in the news. And you know, I'm not sure how much confidence this inspires in Gibson, but I'm not sure it has to inspire much confidence because they're already in Chapter 11, so it doesn't matter. They're not asking for more money from anybody, so it is what it is. He's still at the helm, so it might be that way going forward. I mean, I had predicted that he would be gone after this reorganization, which he still very well may, but I may also be eating crow on that prediction because it looks like he might be digging his heels in. Then I saw this article that kind of reminded me of something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. Are women saving the guitar? You know, I haven't read this article yet.
But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
You know, I've had a lot of thoughts about this for a little while, and you know, you go on YouTube and you see all these channels of these, you know, hot young women, you know, with their things halfway out and stuff that can't hardly get any respect, even though their playing is you know, I would call it above par playing. You know, they're better than a lot of the stuff I see, you know, male players try to do and try to pull off. But you know, it's hard for them to get respect. It's hard for at least from the male side of the audience. And you know, I guess they feel like they have to use every asset they have to push themselves to the top, and a lot of them, you know, get millions upon millions of views, so they're highly successful, way more successful than I am on YouTube. So kudos for that. And I've always really encouraged this.
Yes, I bet you have.
But even back when I was managing a music store myself, you know, I would love it when I would see a young lady come in because I knew that, you know, she was probably coming in on the heels of Hannah Montana's success or something like that.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
And she was trying to get her first guitar, and it was something aspirational she wanted to do. And you know, to see young girls and young women want to pick up a guitar, write songs with a guitar, and make it their own and express themselves in that way, to me is an awesome thing. You know, I have 2 daughters, and I would love nothing more than for both of them to pick up the instrument and to, you know, carry it till the day they die. You know, for me, it's been a constant companion through my life from the time I was 13 years old. It's always been something I could turn to. You know, there was a friend of mine, he was a little bit older than me, but he once told me, it's something I'll never forget. He said, you know, friends will come and go, women will come and go. He said, but the music will always be there. And that has been the case for me. You know, all the music that I've loved, man, you can grab that same record off the shelf, dust it off, and spin it again. You can grab that same guitar, play it a different day and have a different song and feel a different way about it. And you know, it's just part of the beauty of life, taking one day at a time and trying to express yourself, trying to be creative, trying to find an outlet. And I hope that more women and more young ladies and girls are able to find their outlet in this beautiful thing we love called the guitar. And I hope that, you know, more guys are accepting of this, that we kind of, you know, I'm not going to get into, you know, whether there's a patriarchy or whether, you know, we have toxic masculinity in guitar, or whether, you know, we're turning off girls and all that stuff, which, you know, there's a possibility that is true in some respects. We may be turning off some young women with the way that we unconsciously behave, I guess, as male guitarists. You know, every now and then I'll make a off-color joke, or I'll make some sexual innuendo or something that I don't mean to create an unsafe space, you know, or anything like that. It's just that's just my sense of humor, and it's not, you know, it's not that all guitarists are like this, and it's not that, you know, all musicians are like this, and it shouldn't scare off young women from wanting to pick up the instrument. I hope that's the case. But, you know, like I said, I fully welcome it. I hope that even if you don't agree that women are saving the guitar, I hope you would join me in welcoming it if they did. So that will conclude the news. All right, in this segment I thought I'd show you some of the things I've gotten recently. A couple of Craigslist finds and some Goodwill finds and so forth. You can see here a couple of Japanese guitars. This one is a Craigslist find. Actually, I think the fellow contacted me on this. We've had a working relationship on a couple of different things. He's sold me in the past different Japanese guitars. There's another one around here somewhere that needs to be fixed also that he sold me. But this one is the 3 pickup version of, I believe this was the Polaris, but I'm not sure. Can't remember the exact model number on this. But there's a website that really does a good job of detailing these Guyatone Kent models from the mid to late 1960s. And they detail them to such an extent that you can date them pretty precisely. So, but this one has the script Kent logo there, still intact. Those sometimes are knocked off. And in spite of its kind of diminutive size, this thing is really heavy. I'm not sure what kind of wood this is, but I'm guessing it has to be mahogany or some derivative of mahogany, because this thing is pretty heavy. I'm just judging by the grain. It must be some mahogany. A lot of finish crazing on this thing. Got a missing bridge. We do have a missing knob here, and I believe that would have been a tone knob. These knobs are really rare as well. I don't think anyone is reproducing them. If someone is watching this, if you have a 3D printer and you would like to print some of these, you should really start, because these are kind of hard to find. The tone knob has a stylized T on it, and of course the volume knob has a V. But yeah, those are real hard to find, and if nothing else, I could part this thing out and still be okay. I think I only gave like $25 for the guitar, so it's gonna have, need a lot of work to get it really back up and going. I can't remember. Yeah, the neck is pretty straight. Actually, the neck is dead straight on this, so this one wouldn't be too hard to get going. It does have quite a lot of fret wear, and you guys might be wondering why I would mess with something like this. Well, it's just, these aren't being made anymore, and there's something different than you would just see if you walked into any typical, Guitar Center or any typical big box store today. So I usually gravitate towards stuff like this just simply because it is different. We do have one of the pickups that is not, it's here, but it's not, I think the winding is off, or there's no, yeah, it's just going to need serious rebuild. I think that pickup might even be just completely gone. I have to do something different with that. But I do have at least 2 good pickups. I have a good set of switches, it looks like. Several knobs. The pots are pretty worthless, but You know, the pick guard might be worth something to someone. The bridge, or excuse me, the tailpiece and the bridge bottom might be worth something to someone. And the neck is dead, like I said, dead straight. So I definitely got $25 worth of parts there. He also threw in this little bag of parts. So there's an extra set of tuners in there and some other things. And then I got this guitar. This is a bass. This was a Craigslist find, and I think I ended up giving $100 for it because when I got there, the neck just looked like a banana. And not only does the neck look like a banana, which wouldn't have been the end of the world, but the truss rod adjust screw is completely, the nut is completely broken. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab onto that with anything or not. I might have to take the neck off, get some vice grips on that, and see if I can turn it. If I can't turn it, I'll have to take the fretboard off and do some major surgery on this to get it back to playable condition. And again, you might ask, why would I do major surgery on a guitar like this? Well, you know, I mean, in real good shape, these could bring 400, 450. Well, really, usually in my experience, a bass, a Japanese bass, sells really easily. These are fairly sought after. I mean, this is a Heit Deluxe, so it was probably made by Kawai, I think. And these are just nice basses, man. They feel good. They've got really nice feeling necks on them. They have good electronics. The pickups are usually pretty good output. And you know, they're not so microphonic that they'll just squeal at you on a loud stage, and they're very usable. A lot of people who play indie music or you know, noisecore music or alternative music of some kind will love a bass like this, and they do sell really well. And again, it's not something you see every day when you walk into your typical Guitar Center. So you know, getting this up and going again will be a good thing. I'll definitely be able to turn that around and make something on it. Also on my Goodwill trips, I found Beck's Ukulele on vinyl, which was and of course they had it up in front in the cabinet, and then we're asking, you know, probably more than they should have, but it was there and I didn't have it yet, and it was in perfect shape. It's got brown marble vinyl, so I thought, why not? I don't have that record yet anyway, so I went ahead and picked it up. Also got this book, I think the same day at the same Goodwill. Sometimes if you go through the books, man, you find some really cool stuff. I did not have this book yet, and I've got a lot of guitar books in my library that I use, you know, for research and things a lot. You know, when I'm dating guitars or whatever. But this one's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. I've actually owned that guitar before. Flipping through this, I've seen a lot of guitars I've owned in the past. I've owned a Moserite similar to that. I saw a Yamaha exactly like that hanging in a pawn shop once, and I did not realize it was as old as it was, I think, and just kind of glanced at it and went on, and it was a stupid thing to do. I should have investigated it further. But those are actually from the late 60s. That's a Yamaha from, what, 67? Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's good to have a library of books like this around, just, you know, coffee table books. You'll learn a lot. Here's the Gibson oddball page. I've featured a couple of these before. There's a Corvus and the S1. Had a video with those in there. I have an uncle who has a 78 Artisan, and he loaned it to me for a little while when I was a teenager, and I did not want to give that thing back. That was the most awesome guitar ever. Well, he didn't loan it to me. He loaned it to my stepdad, but still, man, that thing was killer. It has the awesome banjo inlays. Just a cool guitar. But yeah, you know, book. I mean, I don't know what it was $1 or something. The spine was actually coming a bit loose, so I re-glued that, and you know, got a book. I don't know what it would have been if I tried to buy it new. What, $25 or something, probably. Also found another one of these micro cassette recorders at Goodwill. This one I didn't realize when I got it. It had a little crack here, so I had to repair that crack with some super glue. But I usually get these when I find them, especially when they're only like $3, because a lot of them don't seem to have speed adjustments on them, and some of my old tapes that I've recorded end up being at a weird speed on some of the other ones that I have. I have a dictaphone one here, and here's another one that I have that's what is this, a GE? But some of these tapes that I made on a Sony recorder that I had way back in the day don't seem to be the right speed on some of these machines. But I got this one and got some batteries in it, and this one does seem to be the right speed. I've got some old bootleg recordings I made of. Here's one with John Prine in Central City, Kentucky, which is in Muhlenberg County, which is interesting. Also, we've got the Everly Brothers from that same day, and I think that's probably the only recording of that show in existence. I've got some song sketches that I made from way back in the day of just me doing stuff. I've got a this is a Perfect Circle live from, I don't know, early 2000s, maybe 02 or 03, something like that. But yeah, it's just, you know, I get these because I like to listen to these, and you know, I'd like to have a good copy of them. I think I made a copy of this once, but it didn't come out very well. So that's part of the Everly Brothers set right there. Let's see. Like I said, I got John Prine as well from that same day. I might make a digital copy of these and put them on my alternate channel, maybe, if you guys want to see or hear that. Let me know down in the comments if you're even interested in that. I might throw these up over there. But yeah, the John Prine recording actually came out pretty good, and it's got some good stuff on it, and it's got some, you know, it's at a time when he was with these two guys, Dave Jakes and on bass, and what's his name, Jason Wilbur on guitar. And I think he still plays with those same guys even today, but they were really hitting their stride around this time, it seemed like. So this is a pretty good show. I probably should put that up. I've also got a Beck show somewhere. I've got some other stuff too. But yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in me ripping these and putting them over on my second channel. Oh, also, when I was getting in this box, I came across some old photographs that I forgot I had. Here is one of me and my very first guitar. I was probably 3 years old, I think. Probably third birthday, something like that. Dukes of Hazzard, man. That's where it was at back in the day. If you didn't watch Dukes of Hazzard, there was something wrong with you. Dukes of Hazzard, and then the Fall Guy, you know, came along, Knight Rider. And then I grew up and started listening to heavy metal. and started looking more like this. This is my mom's garage, and I'm holding my friend's bass guitar. That's his amplifier also. This is at a time when I barely even played guitar. I was still aspiring to play, and then you can see, you know, you can see what I was into there with the Metallica shirt. Ha! Look at my Air Jordans, man. What are those, like Series 4? What is this? I probably date this picture by those Jordans. What is that, 1990 maybe? 91? And the tight-rolled jeans. Are my jeans tight-rolled? Holy crap, my jeans are tight-rolled with Air Jordans. And a Metallica shirt. I was a very confused young man, to say the least. And speaking of cool finds, probably my coolest find of this past week was this thing. Got this at one of those antique malls that you know walk through and everybody's junk is in there. But this is probably from the 1950s or early 60s. This is an intercom that would have gone inside of a house. It's got to be from the 50s because I've seen this same grill on record players from the 50s. And these knobs are definitely 50. I'd say this is definitely 50s. But yeah, it's from it's an intercom, and it's tube. This thing has got let's see, room-to-room radio. You can listen or talk. What's this? Okay, you turn this to talk, I guess, and then you leave it there to listen. Interesting. I don't know what room-to-room means. There's a radio, and there's a phono input. Let's see, what does this say? Nutone Incorporated, Cincinnati 27. So that's before we had zip codes. Model 2011. That knob right there could stand to be cleaned up. This is it's an AM radio. It's got a volume with a power on and off. A master speaker, which I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's a speaker contained within the thing. Then you've got a bunch of switches here, probably, let's see, I'm not even really sure. These are switches that will listen to remote radio intercom. I guess this allows you to listen to, and these are labeled 1 through 8. So if you have 8 different connections, you can choose which ones you want to be listening to, or which ones you don't want to listen to. Like for instance, if you don't want to hear the kids' room, you know, you can turn those off and only listen to the ones you need to hear. So pretty cool. They would have, I guess, had a whole intercom system with several of these in the house. I guess up to 8 of these. You know, 1 in each room, and you would leave them on and basically basically burn up a lot of electricity. This thing was $9.99, and I couldn't pass it up. It looks extremely cool. Here's the rear of the unit. This will be the subject, I'm sure, for a future video as well. But when you see something like this for $10, you know, you're not going to leave it there, are you? Especially if you're somebody like me. Here are all the connections that you can make for. Let's see. This is a copper, center common, and silver. So they would have had a 3-conductor wire. One of them was for the microphone signal coming from this unit to send to the other units, and the silver one would have been to listen from. So one of them is a receive and one of them is a send. And then you've got you know, of course, you got your radio in here, so you've got your IF cans over there for your radio. And there's a 12AV6 I see. This is a series filament unit, and it still has, I can see down inside of there, it still has Sangamo capacitors. You can see that teal colored capacitor right there. That's what that is, Sangamo. This is probably, yep, that's a Sangamo too. Now let's see, this should give me a date. Let's see, 658-808. So that'd be probably the 8th week of 1958, if I had to venture a guess. But yeah, man, there's just, you know, it's kind of cool because there's enough here that if I wanted to, and here's a tube chart. Let's all the stuff is here. If I wanted to, I could make a little guitar amp out of this thing, which is probably what we'll end up doing with it. But it's a series filament with the 35W4 rectifier, 35C5 output, 12 AV6s for probably audio preamp stages, 12 BA6, a 12 BE. Those are probably, I'm sure, in the radio tuner. But yeah, man, cool little unit for $10. I was pretty chuffed about that. And then I was kind of going through some of my older stuff the other day and ran across this. I forgot I had. This is, I'm going to see if you can guess what it is without looking it up, okay? We'll play a little game. And don't cheat. Don't Google this. Just see if you can try to guess what it is, okay? Any clues so far? Got a clamp down here on the bottom. With a thumbnail screw. VU pitch, patented in the USA, EADGBE. And then we have some little things inside of here. So what is this thing? Give me a comment. Don't again, don't look it up. Don't cheat. Tell me what you think it is. I'll tell you what, probably what I will do is go on to my second channel and I'll demonstrate this thing. I'll make its own dedicated video just for the hell of it, and we'll show what it is. If you guys want to see that, head on over to Guyatologist Channel 2, and where we will continue Shitpost Friday. But for now, that's all that we have time for. I have some writing I need to do. A fellow contacted me the other day saying he is brushing up for the second edition of his book on Dan Electro guitars, and he wants me to write a chapter on amplifiers, which I've agreed to do. So I'm hard at work writing a chapter on amplifiers. I'm pushing it to the last minute in pure procrastinator fashion. I'm leaving it to cram before the exam. So got my deadline, I think, is on Saturday, so I've got to get that all done. So I'm going to say goodbye, and we will see you guys next time, and head on over to Channel 2 to check out this thing. It should be up a little later today. Also wanted to take just a second to acknowledge some of the people who have sent me tips via PayPal. I really appreciate it. Your support really helps out this channel and keeps it going, so thank you very much. We'll see y'all later.